questions to keep myself aligned. Waste away the hours doing what I should, knowing that my soul tells me it's not for my own good. Look at my reflection in the mirror, I see that it's not the person who lives inside of me. Done with all the fear and doubts, the negativity. I'm shedding all the crap right now, I'm stepping into me. Understanding that I have the strength in me opens possibilities to heal and be free. Grateful for the lessons, ready to move on. I control my destiny, the blocks and chains are gone.
Hi, my name's Leanne Calibaba, and I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in May of 2005. And little did I know that it would actually be the turning point in my life that would lead me to this amazing, vibrant, spiritual, and happy life that I have now. Believe it or not, I am grateful for this illness, for taking me out of the shadows and into the light.
Hi, I'm Ayse Hogan, and I'm here with Leanne Calibaba. We're in her beautiful home today, and we're discussing how cancer actually took her from the shadows and brought her into the light. So Leanne, first of all, let me just say hello and thank you for allowing us to be in your house. Let's just start with that. That's probably where I should have started from. And your home is beautiful.
Thank you.
So cancer is tricky, and I know that when a lot of people are diagnosed with cancer, it's an odd thing. They didn't know they had cancer, they were fine. They found out they had cancer, and inside a month, sometimes they look like they're almost ready.
Yeah.
In a really bad place. I'm just going to say it that way.
Yeah.
So how was your life pre-cancer? Let's talk about what you were like before the cancer.
Wow. The word that comes to mind is frantic, for sure. I was really, really living in a place where I was just a human doing, right? I was busy, and I was not paying any attention to my body at all. It was like I wasn't even living inside a physical body. It was completely in my head. I had a big corporate job,
right,
and a lot of responsibility. I had 2 small children who both were in activities. My daughter was in dance and my son played rep hockey. And so my life basically consisted of, get up, get the kids ready, get them to school, go to work. I also traveled a lot for work at that time. That added a lot of stress and pressure too. And there was really zero time for myself.
Okay.
I really was
and I
not
think that a lot of
paying
women
attention.
or people, not even just women and men can completely relate to that.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the standard Westernized life right now, right?
We work ourselves to literally to death until we can't work anymore.
Yeah. And, I wasn't even taking time for proper nutrition, like breakfast would be, grab a coffee at the drive-thru and maybe have a muffin or something. And then I was drinking a lot of Diet Coke because I didn't want to gain any weight. And I was just,
Polyaspartame.
Oh, yeah. When I look back, I think, wow, I can really clearly see energetically and physically and even mentally. For me, one of the biggest parts of it was my mindset. Something happened to me as a young person. There was a family member, my mom's younger sister, and my auntie, and she meant everything to me. She was like the cool, fun one in the family that, like my mom said I couldn't get my ears pierced, so my auntie took me to get them done. Anyway. That kind of thing. And she just really was my idol. I worshipped her, and I wanted to be just like her. And then we had a family tragedy. She actually passed from cancer at the age of 29.
29?
29.
That's too young.
It was way too young.
I mean, it's always too young, but that's really too young.
Absolutely. And so what happened to me as a young person was I kind of took on this belief system that, oh my gosh, I'm so much like her and I want to be like her, and this is what happened to her. And this fear just gripped my entire being.
Law of attraction.
Absolutely. I pretty much feel like I kind of manifested it into believing.
Wow.
You know, I felt so strongly that what had happened to her was also going to happen to me, and I was so afraid of it. You know,
Yeah.
and it was in my head and in my body all the time. And one of the reasons I had children at such a young age was for her. One of her biggest regrets was that she never had a family. And so when I was 20 years old, I had my first baby. So I'm like, I'm gonna have kids. I really want to have kids. And I'm really grateful that I had that experience. But you know, coming through that whole thing and where I am now, 11 years, 2 months, and 15 days later, is I'm in this beautiful place of the light where I understand how powerful your thoughts are. Yeah, and I was able to really learn from that experience and see how I actually, through my fear, invited that into my life. And I'm grateful that now I understand a lot better.
Yeah.
And man, I just, I've left all of that behind me in a big way.
So now you get diagnosed. And how does that happen?
Actually, that was really a fluke. You know, a lot of people asked me if I had symptoms, if I knew that I was sick. And at the time I said, you know, no, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel sick. I didn't have any, you know, pain in my breast or any noticeable lump in my breast.
How old were you?
37.
37.
I mean, who thinks that they're going to, you know, have breast cancer at 37, right? What happened to me was I went to my doctor for a regular checkup, and she said to me, you know, your breast tissue is really pretty dense, and, you know, we can't feel all the way through there. And bless her heart, whatever came through her to have her speak these words, she sent me for a mammogram at a very early age to set a baseline for going forward. Because she said, you know, I'm not confident I can feel. I had larger breasts and couldn't feel all the way through there, right? And when I went for the mammogram, and this is a really interesting story too, she said to me, you know, it's early spring, go in the fall, don't worry about it over the summer, take the summer off, it's just, you know, this is just for future reference.
Right.
You know, go later. And when I got home, I told my husband, you know, my doctor wants me to go for this test, and he said, well, you know, we've got some travel plans and we have a very busy life, and so I think, you know, let's just call and book it so that we can make sure we get the, you know, time that works for us. And when I phoned, it was close to 5 p.m. And I called, and the woman that answered the phone said to me, oh, you're calling, you know, to book a mammogram. Would you do me a big favor? I said, okay, I can. And she says, I just had someone call and cancel for tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And she says, it's the end of the day. I don't think I can fill the appointment, and we really don't like to have appointments go unused,
right?
You know, because there's a waiting list to get in for, at least at that time there was, for mammograms. And so my husband and I talked about it, and I said, let's just get it over with. I'll go and I'll help them out.
Right.
So I took the appointment at 9 a.m. the next day rather than going 5 or 6 months later.
Wow.
And
everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, divine timing. And so I went, and I'll never forget the experience of looking or waiting. You know, they go and they check the slides, and then you sit in that little waiting room and you're all nervous. And then she came back and she said, we're just going to take you next door. We want to do an ultrasound. We want to see a little closer. And then you can imagine the fear monster that came in then. And then the 2 technicians are looking, and then a third technician comes in, and they're all looking, and then a radiologist comes in, and they're not telling, they're whispering in the corner, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's really what I thought. Anyway,
it is, yeah, because you can just, and because they won't even answer your questions.
No,
right?
You have to hear the news from your doctor. And anyway, following that was a biopsy that confirmed the results, and then everything just went in my whole world. It really did. But sitting here today, I look back on it and I thought, thank you, body, for waking me up and saying, hey, you know what? There's a way better way to live your life. And so...
so how was it? Okay, so you got the news. Mm-hmm. And what was that like?
Scary. scary. I had at the time an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old. My now husband actually, then we had only been in our relationship for 4 months, 5 months. And so that was a very scary thing too. And I have to tell you that, you know, God, the universe sends you people when you need them. And he's my best friend and the love of my life and the best partner I can imagine. And not only did he stick around and take care of me, but he also took care of my kids too. And he's been my rock and my support. And I'm very grateful.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing that you had that. It's unfortunate that some people don't have that kind of a support system, and others have lots and lots of family. It's such a difficult time for people, that's for sure, and it's scary. So what was your next step? So now you've been diagnosed, and now what are you doing?
Well, the first thing is, you go through all your doctor's appointments and you take care of your physical body, because that's really the first thing you think of, when you have an illness is, okay, I've got to take care of the physical. I did elect to go for the traditional treatment, so I had 6 months of chemotherapy and a month of radiation, and then I truly felt like I was beat down. I mean, that my body had just been through so much chemical and just completely bombarded. So I set myself upon a healing path. And one of the areas that I looked at was spiritual and emotional and mental too, really. Because we really live in all four of those realms, right? And a lot of people think with illness, they start thinking about, diet and exercise.
Well, everybody's very mind and body. They really forget about the emotional, and they forget about, our energy body, our spiritual body, right? So we don't really, in the conventional world, consider those very much. Like if something's wrong, we go speak to somebody, we take an antidepressant, we do these kinds of things. We don't think about where it started, how it started, where that trigger's sitting, right? It's funny when I explain this to people, I always say, think about it like you've left vegetables on your counter.
Okay.
Right? So those vegetables are sitting on your counter, and they're sitting there, and they're sitting there, and they're sitting there, and eventually they start to ferment, and then they start growing their little chemistry assignments on them, and the longer you leave them there, the more they turn into something you don't want them to be. And really, our energy, when we have all this negative energy that we bring into our bodies, it's kind of the same thing. It's just this energy that sits there and sits there and sits there. And if we don't clean it, if we don't take the vegetables off the counter, if we don't clean it, it begins to fester and turn into stuff. And it's like all of a sudden we've got aches and pains in our bodies, and we've got fibromyalgia, and we've got depression, and we've got all these things that start happening when all we needed to do was take the vegetables off the counter.
I like that. That's good. I like that analogy. That's great. That works for me.
So you got into your mind and your mental and your emotional and your spiritual.
Yes, very much so.
And how did you do that? What made you go there? Some people don't go there. So what actually made you go there?
That's a really interesting question, and sometimes I wonder that myself. I think I had a lot of help from guardian angels and ideas that just kind of came through to me in my more quiet moments. I had a lot of time for reflection.
Right.
There was a lot of times when my body was weak and I was unable to do things, and so then you're really just in your mind and your emotions during that time. So a lot of ideas just kind of flowed to me. I read a lot of books. And then I started looking for workshops that I could go to and trainings that I could go to. And one of the best things that happened for me actually came from my husband's oldest daughter, my beautiful bonus daughter. Her name's Regan. She had been traveling in Thailand, and she came upon this really cool fitness practice called Nia. And when she came back to Canada, she looked for Nia, and there wasn't any in her area, so she actually took the steps to become a teacher herself because she loved this practice so much. And she invited me right around the time that I was diagnosed to come to a class. And I stepped into this beautiful practice. I was never one, and we talked earlier, about food and exercise and stuff, and I've never really been a fan of the gym. I've never felt comfortable at the gym. I stepped into this beautiful practice that's a fusion of dance arts and martial arts and the healing arts. And I think I just cried the whole first class because it just felt so amazing, and it's what I had been looking for. I've since gone through all of the NIA trainings myself. Like in martial arts, we have a belt system, and I'm really proud to say I received my black belt.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a really big accomplishment. The NIA training has really been amazing for me because we visit all of those realms: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and I learned so much, and I transformed so much. And then other people started asking me, what are you doing? Because you're so different. You're so, radiant. Your life is amazing. And I got to tell you, often I hear people say, "Must be nice to be you." And you know what I say? Thank you, because it is. It is. And maybe you knew what I had to go through to actually get here. It's been a long journey, but that truly started me on the path towards spirituality, towards taking better care of myself, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And one of the things I discovered during one of those trainings was I really was holding a lot of anger towards my own body. I really felt and believed that my body had betrayed me. What? How dare you? Seriously, I'm a busy person and I have stuff to do. How dare you bring me this illness and force me to...
Which was actually making it worse.
Absolutely. It was. And so healing myself, forgiving myself, forgiving my own body. Those were really big healing tools for me.
And I think that's another thing that people don't really understand is that anger is and can be a cancer in itself, and that the forgiveness piece is so powerful.
Absolutely.
And we don't, forgiving ourselves is probably one of the hardest forgivenesses that we can do.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to forgive other people, but when we have to forgive ourselves, that's tough.
It's very tough. And forgiving my auntie, who was my idol and who abandoned me when I was, 13 years old through her death. Of course, that's not her fault. But I realized that I was really angry about that too.
And maybe even just
holding a lot of that.
Feeling and I'm maybe shooting in the dark here, but feeling because you took after her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You wanted to be so much like her, and then there you were.
There I was. But gratefully survived. But not just survived, I'm thriving. My life now is so much better and happier and more vibrant and delicious than it ever was before. And I really owe my illness the thanks for bringing all these gifts into my life. I started looking
into... And whoever thought we would be grateful for cancer?
Yeah. And most people don't believe me. They think, really? That sounds kind of crazy to me. But that is my truth. I was on, a path of self-destruction and not paying any attention to my life or my body and doing for everybody else and not myself.
And I think that's an important point too. And, even when I'm working with people too and other people I'm talking to, and the thing is that I'm always saying is you have to put yourself first.
Yes.
Everybody else, your children, your husband, everybody else can be a really close second, third, they can be right there with you, but you have to be first.
You do.
And they think that because they're a mom or whatever, that they have to make themselves last. And in fact, that is the exact opposite of what you need to do. Because if you put yourself first, then you are a better wife, and then you are a better mom, and you are a better friend, and you are better for yourself. And it's so insane how we put ourselves last.
Yes, exactly. And women are truly wonderful at doing that.
We are. It's like our priority for ourselves is like right under take out the garbage. Like, why are we so low on the totem pole? So it's just
we need to be number one. So radical self-care. And I'm living proof that model doesn't work. You think I could be there for my children when I was doing chemotherapy? And no, all of a sudden I was just gone. I was unable to take care of them. So yeah, radical self-care, filling your cup first, and then everything that flows over from that fullness is what you're able to give and really, shower upon others and be like ready for them, ready to help them.
They even tell you that on a plane.
Yeah.
Like if something happens, put yours on first, then look after your kids.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And also I think as mothers, modeling how to authentically live and how to practice self-care and yet still be there for others, that's a really good message for your children, right?
Because really what we do is as a society, I think we stifle our kids. We don't let their light shine. It's always like, don't shine too bright. Make sure you stay in the box. Don't stand out. Like, just make sure you meld with everybody else. And, you don't stick out because you could be bullied or you could, instead the kid should be a leader.
Yes.
Be a leader. Stand out. Shine. Yeah. Right? And it's okay. Right? And it's really wonderful. And I think that's the difference that I've found with people who have found their spirituality and have found, when I say spirituality, I think a lot of people, and I find this a lot because I am an ordained reverend too, so I find these people that they say, oh, well, I don't agree with you because, I'm Catholic or I'm Christian or I'm Muslim, like my parents are Muslim. And I sit there and I go, listen, I'm non-denominational. When I'm talking about spirituality, I'm talking about that higher power. I'm not talking about organized religion, right? And so when you find that spirituality and you actually allow that to shine in your children.
Yes, how beautiful is that? And really, that's what we're all put here to do, right? Is to inspire others to love, inspire others to heal, to self-heal, to be that light. I mean, we need more light. That's what we need on this earth right now.
And it's a shining example that you can come back from cancer.
Absolutely.
I guess the hope that you want to give people is once it actually manifests, once the vegetables have fermented and it actually manifests into whatever it's going to manifest in, whether it's a fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, cancer, any other, dreadful illness. It's not always that you can come back from it. Not fully. It will not always go into remission or disappear. But the chances of slowing it down, the chances of being able to manage it, getting it under control, are pretty good. Absolutely. If you just don't let it take over.
Yes.
If you don't become the disease. I've got a friend of mine who has Crohn's, and she says, that's how she introduces herself to people.
Really?
Hi, my name is so-and-so, and yeah, I have Crohn's.
She labels herself.
I say, you are so much more than that.
Absolutely.
Like, that's just something that you have. I have a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's something that I have. I know it's a little bit different, I get it. But it's just, how about, hi, my name is Jane, and and I love to do this and I love to do that, and talk about the things that you enjoy rather than hi, and I have Crohn's.
Yeah, wow. Talk about just wearing it as a sad badge, of honor. So and that's really the first place that I started was the first thing I did was I changed my mind.
Yes.
I changed my mind. I started a daily affirmation practice. I love Louise Hay. If you've never read any of her books, You Can Heal Your Life. And I have healed my life. Powerful, powerful medicine in those words. And so I practice that. I love my body. And I have scars. And I have some discolored skin from radiation. But you know what? It's mine. It's my life story. And I wouldn't change it. I love my body. I love my life.
I know when I met you the very first time, we sat down. I thought, wow, what an energy just walked in the room. Like, it was just like, you came and you sat down and you were smiling and smiling. And I thought, she's so happy. It's like, and she's so sweet. I'm actually getting a cavity. And
Thank you.
you know, and even our relationship has like changed in such a short time. It's become something that neither one of us, I think, thought it was going to be. But it's just, it's an amazing, and it's how people come together, and everybody comes into your life at the right time, and everything happens in your life in the right time. And I guess the message is, if you are diagnosed with something, you know, if something like this happens, you can't let it win.
Exactly.
It can't become you. It can't become you.
No, it doesn't define you. It doesn't need to control you or take you over. You are still in there, and that beautiful love energy and that light energy and that joy is still in there. And when you focus on that and you invite that in to your being, and imagine introducing yourself that way. You know, hi, I'm Leanne, and I'm really joyful.
And it's funny that you say that. When you say that it's still in there, I think that people didn't even realize that they had it, and it gives them a moment to tap into the inner resources that they didn't even know that they had.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true.
Right? It's like that treasure box of stuff that you have in here that you never opened up the lid to find out, wow, I'm actually like awesome.
Yeah, we all are. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I'm gonna picture that every morning when I wake up. I'm gonna open my eyes and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna open my treasure box
and see what's in there today.
And I'm gonna see what's in there today. And I know it's gonna be something beautiful and amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
There's always something
like
for
that.
you. There's always a new present for you all the time. It's so cool. So if you were going to give, after all the messages we've already given today, if you were going to give the viewers a really clear message, something that you leave with them, what would that be?
Oh, how to sum up so much amazing stuff in one sentence.
Doesn't have to be one sentence. I didn't say that.
Okay. So, the biggest thing is really loving your body and loving your life, regardless of your circumstances. Regardless of your circumstances, you can still find joy and find happiness, and bringing that in. What that does is that really begins and sets in the healing process, and it gives you the opportunity to be the creator of your own life and have it be beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
So keep that emotional body centered in joy, and that mental body focused on wellness and just a belief that, you know what, you deserve the best in life as you do. You're a precious, beautiful being, and you deserve the best in life. Believe it.
Yeah, and that's a great message, because I think so many people out there don't know that they deserve it.
Yeah, I didn't think I did.
I know we get lost in our stuff, get lost in what we're doing, and forget who we are and why we're here. I want to thank you for coming out, and
It's been my pleasure.
I'd like to thank you. This is a great story. This is a great story, and I'm so happy that this is actually going to be the pilot for this new, for people being able to tell their stories. I want to thank you for coming out, and I want to thank you for being here, and for you for watching. And you can find us on YouTube. You'll be able to find me and Leanne on my web pages, on our social media pages. And thanks so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot.
Understanding that I have the strength in me opens possibilities to heal and be free. Grateful for the lessons, ready to